boxes. Um, we have two amazing speakers today, you guys. Again, as stated before, I'm going to be doing a lot more listening. I usually do a lot of chit chatter during these shows to kind of help fill gaps. But today's going to be questions and listening. I need you guys to remember we have a zero bully tolerance on all days, but especially during this 1 hour. So if you want to stay and hang out and hear what they have to say, I would highly recommend that y'all zip it and keep any negativity to yourself. All interactions, all questions are welcome. But again, if you have one negative thing to say, my red knows that you're gone and you will not be unblocked. I don't, once you're blocked, I don't unblock you. So remember, everybody be kind. And guys, I let everybody know this every week because it takes a lot. I'll already be lined up on my waiting list, ready to go next week and the week after and the week after, right? But you're not. So it's all about respecting my guests, right? During the live show, what am I missing? Yes, Stabby, the gifts. We're not allowed to acknowledge, like Meet Me asks us not to acknowledge gifts. So like if No Time for Games sent me a wheel and it hit a dragon, I'm literally supposed to pretend like that's not happening. So if you've ever gifted someone during a featured show and they ignored you, that's why. I, however, do my best to like wink or do the hearts or like something, but like it's in my blood to say thank you. So anyways, that's where that comes from. So I will thank you guys in advance for the gifts, for the favorites, but even more important than that is your time. You can't get your time back. You can make more money to buy more things, right? But you cannot get time back. So the fact that some of y'all choose to come spend your time here with me is absolutely amazing. Now, real quick, we got about 2 minutes before we get No Time for Games in the box. I do a Q&Q. It's a quote and it comes with a question. I bought it, I think, at a thrift store. Oh my God, I've been doing this show. Almost two. I think this coming up this winter will be 2 years. Or is it 3 years, Jay? So Zach, during the show, I can't really talk too much about that, but if you hit me with the fave or you hang out and come back at 11, ask me again and I will gladly talk to you. Volvo! Sorry, you're not supposed to do that either. You're not supposed to acknowledge people when they enter the room. But when my guests are not in the box, I feel like it's not as strict of a rule. But when y'all get in the box, I promise I give you my attention. So the quote is, the only thing that I have done that is not mitigated by luck, diminished by good fortune, is that I persisted and other people gave up. I'm going to read that again. The only thing that I have done that is not mitigated by luck, diminished by good fortune, is that I persisted and other people gave up. What's the luckiest thing that ever happened to you? What's the luckiest thing that ever happened to you? I know it kind of sounds cliche or silly, but and my kids, especially, even though, for those of you guys know, my firstborn and I don't necessarily have the best relationship, but I believe that having him saved not only myself but my grandmother in a really rough time. So now he has weekend plans. Wait, I'm so confused. Sometimes, and maybe not even in a death, but I think that the second best thing that ever happened to me was not getting pregnant by my ex-fiance, and us breaking up, because ultimately together we were extremely toxic. He brought out all of the worst in me, and it was just bad. It was bad. I'm missing comments. I'm missing comments. So guys, no time for games. Are you ready, love? Well, so it's not, I believe there's sometimes good luck, right? But I feel like people need to understand that when you literally work harder than anybody else at doing something and you continue to do that, at some point it's going to take you further than the rest. Sometimes you have to switch jobs, like if you're trying to grow in a company, right? But you can't, if you want something, you can't give up. You know, I'm starting my business right now, and my first day was nothing like I anticipated. I wasn't ready. I didn't lose a lot of money, but I definitely didn't really make anything that day because things happen, which I can get into later. But I can't just give up. I have to keep going. I have all of these plants behind me that need homes, right? So sometimes life is hard, but you have to keep going. You can't quit. You can't quit. You'll never win if you quit. You'll never know if you don't try. You know, my biggest fear, before I let you in the box, no time for games. My biggest fear is failure. But you want to know how you fail? By not trying. Hello? Ugh. Hello? So I was setting myself up. You know, I can't fail, but I think in the back of my mind, I knew that if I didn't try, I was going to fail. So I was able to accept, and drink your water. I was able to accept the loss, right? Because I didn't try, which meant I didn't want it, even though, you know, that's just stupid. But I've learned in life that I've got to push for the things that I want. And that ultimately, at the end of the day, I am the only person that's going to create my inner happiness and my inner peace. So that being said, are we ready? Bosses don't take losses sometimes, man, but all right, here we go. Here we go. Yay.
Hello.
Good morning. I love your hair. You got purple hair too. Purple and pink.
Yes, it's pink, purple, blue, you know. Good morning. How are you?
All right. So how are you?
I'm good. Actually in Baltimore, getting ready to head into DC. It is my birthday weekend. So when I signed up for the show, I didn't have my birthday plans in full effect. And so like they're like, you have to be on her show at 10 a.m. Are you gonna be? I'll be like, listen, I always whenever I commit to something, not that I know her. That's
I
it.
don't know her. I don't know her.
That's a good
All
thing.
right, I already like you guys. You guys are silly. Um, so I guess let's just go ahead and dive in. Let these guys know what our topic is going to be. And like I said, I'm just kind of staring, and I talk a lot. And that's why I'm telling you. So if you've seen my show, you know that I blah, blah, blah. But that's because I have stories that I can relate to because I've been through something similar. But with us, I'm not, I have nothing to relate. I've not raised biracial children. I'm not, as the other topic is being raised and growing up as a Black man in America. I'm clearly, first of all, a chick. Okay. And I'm ghostly on a good day. So I've not been able to experience either of the things. So I'm not saying this to be a jerk or like, you know, I feel like these are two huge topics that need to be heard, which is why I'm like, yes, but anybody that's listening, please understand that because I can't relate, I'm gonna blah, 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 and fumble over my questions because that's how I go, by relating. So
But that's also how people learn by asking questions.
yes.
When you
And
don't
that's
know a
why,
thing.
yeah, that's why I was like, sorry for the million questions, but we got
It
there.
is A-okay. It is a-okay.
And if you see me writing down notes, it's because I have the memory of a goldfish and I don't want to forget what I'm going to ask you.
It's okay. My daughter calls me Dory, so you know. Yeah.
Do you know how many times this morning I walked from one room to another and had to go back to the room and wait to remember what I was going to get?
Yep.
3 times I went to send Jay the Q and Q. And it wasn't until he sent me another message. I was like, that's what I went in there for 3 times.
Right. Oh, I get it. So good morning, y'all. I am No Time for Games. I am a streamer on Meet Me and POF. The conversation topic today is the understanding and the difficulties of raising biracial children and Black children. Some of you guys that are in here that are part of my family, you guys know that I do have 2 biracial daughters. One's Puerto Rican and one is Black American. And then my son is 100% Black. I adopted him 2013. He was 11. So it was very new, but it wasn't, because I was raised in a community of majority of Black people. I was raised in a very difficult environment in Cincinnati. When I say it's the hood, it definitely is very
from
rough
Ohio.
over there.
Are you from Ohio? Me too.
Cincinnati,
I'm
Ohio.
more north, but I'm an Ohioan too. I heard a TikTok this morning that says Ohio women are in the top 5 because we get creative with our minds. But anyways, go ahead.
Because we're great.
Mm-hmm.
So I always knew like raising children were difficult within itself, but raising biracial children was even more difficult. You got the looks, you get the comments, you get a lot of people not understanding. And then when I adopted my son, it was a lot. It's so crazy because if all of us went out in public, like people would try to figure out, okay, she's really dark, he's dark, she's really light, and that lady right there is brown. Like what are these all like, what is going on here? Like they didn't understand. But you know, I'm a big advocate of not allowing children to go to the system. And so in 2013, when I adopted my son, his dad had a stroke. And so we did not want him to go to the system. And I didn't want him to be moved around because he had already been moved around probably 5 or 6 different times between family members. Like they always kept it in the family. But his structure and his foundation was so wobbly. Like, and there were so many cracks in it. And so like, I was like, solid foundation. He's got a mother that loves him like she gave birth to him. Right. He's got the opportunities to be successful in America. Now, the difficulties is I don't know what it's like to be judged or be mistreated based upon the color of my skin. I do not know what it's like to be a man. So the struggles were definitely there when I adopted my son. So, you know, by overcoming them, I surrounded myself, I educated myself, asked questions. The one thing that I will say to anybody raising biracial children, don't just assume because you may have family members and you see family members do it, that it's okay to do that same thing. Educate yourself and find out like what is the proper way to do certain things.
So I guess my first question that comes to mind is what have you seen that you wish people would stop doing? Like, what is it that you see that affects your kids from the people who seem to not understand?
Basing my children upon their skin tone. That's the biggest thing. And why are white people out here adopting Black children? Those are the 2 biggest things.
That boiled my blood. I seen those TikToks and that boiled my blood. I don't,
Yes, that is a thing that I do get a lot is why do white people adopt black children when there are so many white children in the system?
Okay, then I have a question for
I,
you.
go ahead.
Answer to me why anybody's in the system, and if someone is willing to provide any child with a loving home, why does anybody have a problem with that? And
So
in
RFK,
something
to
I
answer that
heard, I do
question,
believe
white
there's more
people.
black children than white children in foster care, right? So also answer me why that is.
Mm, that's a great question. That is a great question. A lot of times, people are just so ignorant, right? They are so ignorant. Um, and there are people out here that adopt children just to get money from the
Yeah.
government
Oh
and they
yeah. Oh
mistreat
yeah.
them. Like there are a lot of people that do that, not only to just black children, to Chinese, to
Oh,
Mexican
oh,
children,
yeah.
Filipino, like all different ethnicities and cultures out there are being adopted and mistreated. That is one thing that I do not like. Like I don't like children to be mistreated at all. But please do not categorize me. Like I let 99% of what people say to me or their comments slide, but if you bring my children into it, y'all know what my nickname
Comes
is.
out.
Sharkeisha
I
gonna come out. Like it's gonna be a whole nother person because my children are innocent. You know, even though both of
no.
my two, so my son will be 25 at the end of July. My daughter turned 21 in June, and then I have an 11-year-old. And so it's just I have learned so much by raising each one of them, like because their personalities are so different, but yet they're so much alike in so many ways. Um, but yeah, that is one thing I wish people would stop doing. Stop grouping us all into one category because I'll
Well,
adopt your children if you want me to.
yeah, exactly. I think that people need to understand that if you look inside every human being, we have a heart, right?
Or
We
are you
bleed
about ready?
blood. We
Yeah.
bleed what,
Okay.
we
I just want to
bleed
make sure.
red. Blood comes out of our skin, it's red, right? We all breathe oxygen. Um, the general has, two eyes, a nose, your mouth, two ears, hair. All of us of any color have different textures, right? My hair is naturally curly, does this afro-y thing, whatever, right? My daughter's hair is straight as a bone. We all have small differences, but at the end of the day, I love your shirt. I, I love your shirt. They used to call me Snoopy. I'll have to tell you why later. But we we are all of the human race, right?
Correct.
And if you really stop and think, as kids, I want all of you to stop right now. And this is in a song. If you know me, you know who I listen to every day on repeat. And in one of the songs, this guy goes, the only races that kids didn't like are the races they didn't win. Meaning if you're playing tag or tug of war or whatever race you're in or you're competing, you you grow older and you learn that anger and that hatred and that's drilled into your brain. What we all fail to
That is
realize is
so.
that we are all human, and if we just stopped being disrespectful and we stop judging people based off of an immediate assumption, because if you looked at me, I promise you what you see is not what you get. Okay, I'll promise. It's not. I look all sweet and innocent and I am crazy and I'm wild and I'm loud and I'm gonna be in your face, right? But
Yeah.
judging people is not, it's a thing of the past, y'all. It really is.
And you know what is so crazy that you brought that up? When I was raised in Cincinnati, I was raised predominantly in the Black community. And I was like, my family, when we went to school, like our school was 97% Black people. Um, and so I didn't experience racism until I was a teenager. I was forced to move from Cincinnati, I was forced to move to Indiana, and I went to a school that there weren't black people and there wasn't like I didn't have no friends. Like I went through a very deep dark depression because I'm like, why why are people treating me so differently? I didn't know at the age of 15 that I had an accent. I didn't know at the age of 15 that I had a personality that, just stood out, because where I was raised at, we all got along. We all played together. And the very first time that I can remember, when I went to school that very first day and I came home, my grandmother asked me, "How was your first day?" And I was like, "It was horrible." And she said, "Why?" And I said, "Because there were so many kids there that looked like me, and I'm not used to that." And then she asked me a question. She was like, "What do you mean that all look like you?" And I said, "I've never went to a school where, you know, there were more white people than there were black." And when they started talking about black people the way they were, I was so confused, because I was like, that's weird, because I was raised in a neighborhood that none of that happened. So it was just very odd. And I just grew up very differently. And so I stayed to myself a lot of time, because I knew like how people thought and how people were, that I wasn't like that. So I was like, I'm gonna just stay over here.
And it's funny that you say that, because I grew up the exact opposite. I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood. And I would say their names, but like if you know about where I live, it would give away, because there's only two or three. Like it's that. So I didn't in elementary school. I did it there. It was all white folks, right? So
Mhm.
when I got older, I actually started recoiling from the groups of people that I hung out with, because I started to see how they started to treat the new people, and I didn't like it. So because I was friends with them, I started to get picked on a lot. Right? But even as a kid, I just never could understand, right? But then
Right.
also as a young kid, and I know that this is probably going to sound stupid, as a young kid who didn't know better, I kind of let the stereotypes and my own judgments come from a couple of certain individuals who live a very old school life for the first couple days, until I had conversations and I was like, they're just like me. What do you mean? Like that one's even smarter than me. So like, of course I'm going to be their friends. They can help me on homework. So I'm sorry. And I actually remember I got into a fight with said individual, but then after about 3 months, it was accepted. Everything was fine. And I kind of started that. I did, because this person helped me start to excel in school, and I started to get better with my math. And it was all because of that one individual helping me. And because of that, I changed my family's the elder. I mean, we're talking the elders, like nobody that's here now. You know what I mean? They've all long passed, but but that was my closest to getting to anything like you've had to deal with. And I was just a wee little kid at that time. So it was a lot to process. And I couldn't imagine being the kid that's constantly getting picked on and put down. And that's ugh, all because of how one looks.
Right.
That's so, y'all, that just makes you yucky. If you judge people based on how they look, it makes you yucky. But you look like you are ready to go, and we are coming up on our time. So,
Right.
and I already asked you what the one thing that you wished people would stop doing, and that was the stereotyping, judging based on appearances.
Right.
Um, so, like, if is there anything else that you wanted to add? Anything else that you wanted to get said one more time before I let you
Hair
go?
care. Hair care is a big thing. Hair is a big thing in the Black culture, and understanding it is very still eye-opening. I recently found out, because both of my two best friends have helped me a lot when it comes to my daughter's hair. I did not know that when you go through hormone changes, when your hormone changes, the texture of your hair does as well. And so like I've had to learn that with my daughter's hair, because my daughter is so crazy. Like when people see my daughter, they look at her and they're like, that's not your kid. And I'm like, she really is. Because when I say she is very, very, she's dark, dark. Um, And so, like, when I was doing her hair, like, I was getting so frustrated because I'm like, everything that I've used so far, like, she's always used. It wasn't until probably 2 years ago that I realized that every time you have a hormone change, so does your hair texture and the
Hmm.
coils in your hair. And so, like I say, the biggest thing is education, educating yourself and doing better.
There you go. All right. So tell these folks real quick, when do you stream? Do you have any other events or shows you're on coming up?
Yes. So, on as y'all know, my name is No Time for Games. I am celebrating my 40th all month long. Yes, it will be out in August. I'm staying here all all month long. Um, I do a show, a featured show over on POF. It is called Heart to Heart. It is with Top Badge Uma B and Mr. 6'6" on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. I also too, I am trying to get it featured over on Meet Me so that I can get my numbers up and everything else so that I can go for my top badge over here. But on Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I have a featured show before and after the game with games, and it is a football show. So we are doing that. I do double stream it, even though it's not featured on Meet Me, but I do double stream it. So that's it, and I stream all the time. You'd always catch me.
All right. Well, we
So
will definitely be looking
thank you,
for you.
Silly Lily,
Thank you
for
for
having me on
being
your show. I appreciate
and
it.
thank you for giving us all a good lesson. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. So we have our next guest up in about, we'll give them 5-6 minutes. I'll take this time, bring us 60. All right, we'll give them just a couple minutes. I use the next few minutes to just kind of go over self-care, self-love tips, questions, or not, tips and questions. And my first question for all of you is, what have you done for yourself today? What have you done for yourself today? Self-love, self-care, yeah. Not the kind you're thinking, RFK. Oh, my Lanta. No, that would be fishing. When you are a master baiter, you are a fisher. You bait, your fish. So that's the only thing I know about that. I do like fishing though, but I would not call myself a master. Anyways, great self-care. Look, but the definition has changed. Nope, still the same. Still the same. There, buddy. We're gonna just keep it at that. Then I do. Leave T alone, Scott. Oh my God. I am not a big fan of New York just because it's overcrowded. I'm not a big fan of going to like LA. Anywhere where it's that crowded, I'm good at going. So today I did not want to get out of bed, but I know that my show always makes me feel better, and that when I'm done with it, I like, that deep breath you take and it's okay, right? Like my show every Friday reminds me that, first of all, the problems I'm going through are absolutely nothing compared to others. So I've got to remember that it can be worse, right? It can be way worse. And I need to remember that I'm fortunate to have what I have as a single mom, especially this day and age. So I make myself get up and I make myself put one foot in front of the other. And I drink a lot of coffee. I do that for myself every day because I don't think I could actually function without it at this point in my life. Self-care tip. Get your butts outside in that sunshine for a little bit today. Be one with nature. Go for a hike. Do it barefoot if you can. Walk around in the sand. Go if you've got a little lake or a river or whatever. Go stick your feet in it. For me, when I go on a little hike, especially if there's water, and I can put my feet in the water and just stand there, and you can feel the water passing. You lift your foot up so that your toes are dangling, and you can feel it. You don't have to do it through the whole hike. Just when you get into the water. It's something about the water and the current, and you just stop, you close your eyes, you stand there, you listen to it, you feel it. And it's like it enters you with positive vibes. And as it passes by you, it takes negative energy with it. I know I'm crazy, but it does. It really seriously helps me. If I just stand barefoot in a lake or a river and let the water run by me, I'm telling you. Listen, Moose on a boat, do not encourage the Mountain Dew here. That's like as bad as being a bully at this point. What do you mean, why not? Because one of our dearest friends drinks 8 Mountain Dews a day and like no water. We do not encourage the dew. Yeah, Woe is right. That is so much soda. She is not. I mean, she is, but she shouldn't. I'll give y'all one guess to who it is. The only one female arguing. I can't, but I can remind her that I care on the regular. All right, are we ready? 6'6". Hate on the dew. I don't hate on the dew. I love the dew. I love the Mountain Dew. I do. But like a couple cans a week, not 8 a day. Y'all. All right, here we go. Hi. Uh-oh, I can't hear you. Is that me or him?
Uh-oh, can you hear me?
Oh, there we go. Now I got you. It might have just been a little lag. So how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for being willing to come on my show. And I don't know if you heard what I told her before, but because this is clearly something that I cannot relate to, I normally fill gaps in with my little lessons about your lessons. So I'm just gonna mostly shut up and listen from here on out. And if I've got questions, I'll ask, but I'm gonna give you the microphone and it's on you.
All right. Hello everyone. Mr. 6'6". Basically today I'll be speaking about, just the lessons I've learned as growing up, being big old me, here in America, being a African American male growing up here in America. And I know, just starting out young, it was kind of weird, seeing my mom, a lot of the places where she worked, she was the first, Black woman there. So seeing that early, the environments that she kept me in, it was always a mixed culture. It was never just all Black people around me. So I guess I had that to kind of steer me. I was always multicultural, so that was great. But as I grew up, you start to see things on TV, the Don King thing. You start to, hear certain words spoken to, your parents in a heated conversation between adults. And it starts to form you as a young man. So, as I got older, got to high school, I think the only one time I remember an incident in school, there was this letter that one of the football players had written to his girlfriend. And she had taken interest in one of the other football players, but he was a Black football player. And this letter got into the hands of the team, and it was just a lot of crazy jargon in regards to how he felt about this gentleman. And it basically led to almost like a race war within the school. So that's when I really went home and started to have some conversations with my mom about, what it is. Um, as the next year grew about 4 or 5 inches, I had added about 40 pounds. I was working at McDonald's that summer, so those double quarters half off were killing me, but I shot up. And, although school was different, where in school now I'm getting much more respect. I'm bigger than the teachers. All the coaches want me on their teams. That was great. I'm finally getting looked at by girls, I'm cool. But then I go out on the way home, right? And, I'm looked at as an adult by my neighbors. Because again, this isn't just a Black neighborhood. There are people who don't look like me in my neighborhood. So you start to see how you're looked at kind of weird, how you're addressed differently, how people say, when, purses are clutched, because you're walking by. And I've never been that guy. I'm a big old teddy bear. But I guess walking into manhood, having my son is when things really started to change. Some of the worst things over the past 12 years, seeing, the Trayvon Martin, seeing the George Floyds and the, Philando Castiles, all these different situations that us as black men go through, and then having to have these type conversations with our kids, having the worry of when you send your kid off to school, whether or not just because of how he looks, he may have some issues. It's rough. That has led me to want to be an actor. I always turn to 90s TV. Phil was my dad, the Huxtable was my dad, um, and those shows kind of helped me where my mother was at work and wasn't able to show me the manly things. I learned them with Will, I learned them with Steve Urkel and Eddie, learned them with
Yeah,
the kids
I love
coach,
those shows.
I got a lot of my game from Will Smith. And if anybody watched Living Single, same thing with Kyle, even how Obi loved his girl. They had a quirky love, but it was love, So all this stuff kind of helped cultivate me. So to not see it on TV anymore, you have to have special programming to catch these shows nowadays. So I find myself now wanting to put that type of television back out there. I want to be America's next TV dad. Being 6'6", me being able to fill up a room and a family and have two little girls and a little boy and a beautiful wife. I want to show America what our family should be, because we've gotten so far away from it with all the violence, with all the drugs, with our kids wanting to be rappers and dying in the street before the age of 25, 30. Education is no longer a priority. Generational wealth isn't even on the table. It's not even thought about in most cases. It's not even, people don't even know what it is. So bringing things like that back to my culture is literally what I'm trying to do through everything learned.
Yeah, I, I, I couldn't imagine, you know, having to have those types of conversations with my kids, saying that you're going to get judged, you're going to this, you're going to that, just because of how they look. It's one thing to get bullied because you wear goofy clothes or your hair's funny, or something like that, but then something you can't change about yourself, to be judged on that is my soul hurts.
It's one of those things that I think you begin to live with. You kind of, it's, when you're getting pulled over, make sure that your wallet is already out, have it somewhere where it's accessible quickly. Make sure that you're not reaching to a glove compartment for anything. It's already on the dash. Put your hands on the steering wheel. Let the window down. Be very much so compliant. Know your rights, and whatever you do, make it home. And I think that's, it's a tough conversation to have because a kid doesn't understand that. And then when you have an adult who will aggress your child at a birthday party or a pool party, and they just don't know how to respond, and I think that's where we as, even in our culture, our parents, we as parents, we're dropping the ball because we're so busy trying to provide for homes with these broken households that we have, that our kids aren't getting what they need. So they're lost out here. They're almost unequipped when they walk into these type situations, and it leads to bad things. I'm tired of seeing news articles about kids and people being hurt because of their color. There literally was a man in a Hyatt hotel about a week ago who four men jumped on top of and stayed on top of him waiting for the police, and he died as they all laid on top of him. And it's a scary thing being a 6'6" man. This is why I don't do drugs, certain drugs. This is why I don't get myself in a drunk state, because me being incoherent or not being myself could lead to me never making it home. And that's scary.
If you had one piece of advice to give to the general folk, um, I guess your best piece of advice, and growing up and what you've seen, something you wish, I guess, like I asked her, people would stop doing.
Um, I've been in retail for almost 20 years. Um, I used to come home sometimes crying, yo, because, you know, um, for people to say, man, that Christopher, he really was it's almost like they want to finish that statement for a black guy. And, my mother did train me. I'm excellent in everything I do. I articulate very well. And to see that those are things I'm applauded for just kind of speaks to either the circle of people that you're around or the type of other black people that you've encountered. But for it not to be a standard for there to be people like me kind of bothers me. So it's not that I can really give advice to the others or anyone else when looking at my culture and saying, you see whatever you see. Because I say all the time, WSHH, 4 letters you can put into Google, World Star Hip Hop. And you can see a lot of things about a lot of different cultures. But the way mine is portrayed on that site, it's a lot of stuff that I can see we need to do better in. Because a lot of the stuff is self-inflicted. So for me to tell any race of people to look at us, treat us, do us any differently, when a lot of the things that, again, we're dealing with are self-inflicted wounds, I don't think it would be fair. So I guess my advice would be see people for people. Be a human. A lot of times people project the things that they're dealing with, the things that they're scared of, the things that hurt them onto other people. And, for me to be a manager at a suit store, and when I'm in suit and tie, the respect I get from all races is crazy. Hey, how you doing, sir? Opening doors for you. Look nice today, sir. Oh, I love that tie, sir. It's crazy. But when I get home, take all that off, shit, I forgot the milk. And I put on my flip-flops, my basketball shorts, my tank top, and I walk out that door. I'm not received the same. I'm a threat. So I guess, people should just be a little more self-conscious, self-aware, and be understanding that not everybody is out here to hurt or to get you.
I want to add for those of you who are out there judging and putting these types of words into your own mouth, that shows us who you really are. So sometimes also think twice before you speak, because it really, what comes out of your mouth tells us who you really are. Like, so if anyone's listening and you've ever made statements like that.
So yeah, I think things will change eventually. I think these kids growing up today, as far as color, they really don't see it. It's some old things out here that parents are trying to instill into their kids that kind of keeps some of this crazy rhetoric going. But there's so many people now who are it's just everything's so color neutral. It's going that way, even with you know the LGBTQ community. To see how they've been able to progress and are in many ways supported now. Across America, it's I think things will change and will get better, but it just takes work. And I really hope that we can get some examples out there for our kids to see that will help them, because the world is going to crap, and somebody's got to save it.
Yeah, I think that we all need to realize, that a little bit of kindness can go a long way. You don't, like I put in my thing when you come in to the stream, it's you don't know what someone else has gone through today, and they could give you hella attitude, right? But most of the time I get my hella attitude when I'm at work, and I get paid to be polite. It's not my favorite thing to do to somebody who's being rude, but there's been a few times that, not every time, sometimes people are just rude to be rude, but that by the end of the dinner, they've broken down in tears and are telling me about so and so that's in the hospital and they had the worst day ever. And thank you for just being nice, even though they knew they, and so there are people that they'll come around, but we've got to remember that people who are rude, people who bully, they're hurt people. So like I try not to take too much of what other people say personally and say a little prayer, because anybody that feels that they got to go around and put other people down and be judgmental, um their life is a lot sadder than ours. So because I don't know anybody that's running around in a good mood, happy with a good life, going, "Oh my God, Scorpio, that stupid hat. Can you believe he even wore it? Oh my God." No, I don't even give a crap about his hat, like, and that's something else that I instill on my daughter a lot. And I remind her that what people say about you is a reflection of who they really are. You know what I mean? And we don't have time for that. You can either, my circle's small. It is very, very small in real life. I don't let a lot of people in, and I don't let a lot of people around. And it's because normally I'll cut you out if I see you being rude. We go out to a restaurant, you're rude to a waiter, I'm done. We're done. Have a great day. Now you have to deal with me yelling out my window in the parking lot at that family that's walking down the whole aisle like they're completely oblivious to all the other vehicles trying to get around. You do have to deal with me yelling out the window, "Excuse me, we're trying to drive down the drive path," and of course we get all the weird looks, but I'm not, like that's a fact. Get out of our way. It's not.
We're all unique. And once everybody understands that and they start, embracing people's uniqueness, everybody has a purpose. People don't feel love. I bring it up all the time. Um, if you kind of want to go back to a time when we were all close to being one here in America, I was sitting up at like 3 in the morning and on YouTube, like any person who can't sleep does, and Michael Jackson popped up his Super Bowl from 94, 95, and it's the "We Are the World." And to see the whole stadium, and they all had cards, and they held them up, and it was all these kids, and to have been so synchronized, and everything worked out so well, have so many people on the field, to see that shows you that there was a time that we understood the importance of our kids, understood the importance of what we're doing to the earth with this global warming thing. There was a time when we were all on one accord in some kind of way. We got away from it, and it is really, 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 really sad. So I'm really hoping we can get back to that type of energy because we need it. It's infectious. The law of attraction is crazy. So that many people to put that much energy into
Yeah.
the universe.
I'll give you guys a little simple test today. Smile at everybody you see. Just smile at them. Even if they're looking at you like you're crazy, just smile at everybody you see and watch how many frowns. I mean, don't get me wrong, you're going to get some people are going to look at you like
Look at you like you're weird, right?
like you're crazy, right? But but you're going to watch a lot of frowns flip upside down. And all it take is a smile. Especially at the restaurant, if I see someone they're looking sad, I will check them out up and down. "Oh my God, I love your shoes. Where did you get them?" And they go from this, "Oh, thank you. I got them. My daughter got them for me." And I probably realistically don't care about this lady's shoes again, but it gave her something to talk about. It made her smile. And now she's sitting there and she's smiling instead of looking so sad. Right. So being kind and a simple smile and a few kind words and a compliment, they go so far. They go so far.
I mean, speaking directly to that, and it's such a domino effect because you speaking about those shoes that they were already self-conscious about, and they put them on, and you go to commenting on them, and now they're calling somebody saying, "Oh my God, they really like my shoes." So that energy rubbed off on now to the next person. So I totally agree. just be nice, man. A big smile. It's crazy how when they say in sales, like people mimic you. They do. When you do this, you're gonna do this, and then when you smile, you're gonna smile. So just go practice that today. Go somewhere today, smile at somebody and start nodding to see if they don't smile and start nodding with you, man. It's a fun game.
If you think you're cute, give them a little wink. And if you get their phone number, thank us later.
Right. Might be the one, you never know. Yeah, for real. For real.
It's just, so many people are going through so much, and if you think about it, like he said, this world is kind of going to crap, and there's a lot of added stresses, especially, if you've got kids, not even just single parents, if you've got kids, period, it gets crazy out there, and I know personally of a good handful of families, and I'll be on the phone, God, I've got $84 to feed all of us this week. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But we make it work, and I've said to one individual quite a few times, noodles and hot dogs, man, it gets you through. But you find ways to make things work when you're struggling, and especially with kids. So just be nice to each other, darn it. Just do it.
It's not hard.
But all right, we've got a couple minutes. So I guess, is there any one thing that you wanted to add to this before I ask you just a couple more questions about you and your streaming?
No, man, like I say, just be kind. Fill your TikTok and your Instagram timelines with, positive stuff, not things that are going to tear you down and upset you and bother you and, make you mad. Let's put our minds on some positive stuff so we can spread that positivity. And again, it's a domino effect, one to another. Be great.
Relationships are scary. I can tell you right now, Mr. Six has got a lot of fans. If y'all haven't noticed in the comments, he's got some new fans. 6 foot's talking, right? You got guys getting yelled at in the comments today for you. So
I appreciate the love, yo. I appreciate it.
But all right, so tell these folks, when do you stream? What can we find in your streams? And do you have any other events coming up?
Nothing coming up so far outside of Like Games. I already told you guys I am one of the co-hosts for Umabee's Heart to Heart Wednesdays on POF. We are again trying to get that featured over here on Meet Me. I think it's going to be a really, really good show for this platform. Outside of that, I stream in the mornings. They've kind of joined us today for this stream. So, we do normally about 8 to 11. I hop off, have some lunch, do some adult things, and then normally in the evenings I'll hop back on 6, 7, 8 o'clock. So you can catch me sporadically, hit me with a fave, and you'll see me. Whoa.
Someone leveled up too. Yeah.
You guys.
It is so hard. Hey, we can't see him, they said.
Thank you so much.
Look, you got some fan. I'm never going to see these ladies again if you're streaming. I'm in trouble now. But no. All right.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being on here and sharing your life lessons with us. Mad appreciation for both of my guests today. If you guys missed today's show, shame on you. Lucky it will be on YouTube. Bye.